Hello, my name is Kate Roberts. I am a clay artist from the United States. I create large-scale, unfired clay installations using clay and fiber that examine the temporary physicality of the structures and the spaces they exist within. I have been working with clay and fiber for the past 5 years. I began mixing fiber with porcelain in graduate school for its material qualities. I loved how it allowed me to build delicate structures that hung somewhere between life and death. My work has always existed somewhere on the edge of being built and falling apart. Adding fiber to the clay and sometimes leaving it unfired helped to extend this possibility. In the piece Containment, fiber dipped in slip overlays reclining figures much like a blanket draped over a form. The hollow form is suspended by what once was. Though the fiber preserves the shape underneath, its unfired state alters a shell's inherent quality of permanence. Though still standing, at any moment it could collapse. The fiber also preserved the flowers in Miss Havisham's beauty in a similar way. It hangs and wraps itself around the flowers in vase, trapping remnants of life. In firing the work, the topiary vase is preserved, much like a fossil. One of the qualities that became apparent to me as I began using fiber in my clay was the ability to create large installations and leave them unfired. I could fully embrace the ephemerality in the work and its connections to objects and sites. The fiber added a strength to the clay material that no longer needed to be fired to hold its shape, even temporarily. This led to a series of gates, my first being port. Over time, the scale of them grew, depending on the space. Gate to Nowhere is the largest I have created. Built in the Hall de la Fonderie, a building in decay, the piece echoed the circumstances of the building, as it was suspended between life and death. Inspired by gate designs found in Switzerland, Gate to Nowhere questioned the gate's permanence. By leaving the clay unfired, it no longer had the ability to contain or protect, its vulnerability unmasked. I look for these vulnerabilities in the material of clay. As I build with fiber dipped in slip, the weight of the material naturally makes a line droop, echoing a feeling of submission. The added fiber creates an uneven line that reminds me more of bones and creates a hauntingly visceral experience. At the end of the exhibition, the clay gate was cut down, its death, and the material recycled, with the hope that it will be reused to make future pieces, its rebirth. This process parallels our relationship with the natural world. Nature bears life, nature takes life away, humanity resists, but nature in the end has the final say, and without question, the cycle begins again. After watching the video of Gate to Nowhere's deinstallation, I created the piece in response. The piece studied the moment where the gate was about to hit the ground, a moment of final submission. In between creating these large gate installations, I have been conducting experiments with clay dust. They are part of an investigation in understanding the limits of clay and its many stages from dust to wet slip to fired. This series of dust prints explores the temporary physicality of buildings or monuments torn down or destroyed by the temperaments of man. The images become distorted and ghostly through the process of screen printing with porcelain dust. Velvet became the perfect textile to print on. It would hold the dust just enough in the process. Dust would stick in areas and fall away in others. The porcelain dust on the black background reminded me of a film negative. The result became a fleeting, fragile reminder of the consequences of nature, time, and circumstance. The pieces Walking on Ghost 1 and 2 came out of this process. Walking on Ghost 1 is an image that is being filtered or disintegrating. The image starts as a landscape of trees. The trees slowly disappear and buildings begin to appear. I imagined that as the dust was being sieved through the cloth, one image was disappearing to reform another. The title Walking on Ghost came from a quote by Cyprian Gallard, in which they say, "I see buildings falling in Glasgow. I see rubble. I ask myself where that rubble goes. I discover that it's crushed and then used to build new pedestrian streets, so people are walking on ghost of tower blocks." The piece Walking on Ghost was also recently shown in an exhibition Matter at Hand, with 2 other ceramic artists that work with fiber and clay, Allison Rose Craver and Katie Coughlin. This was a jointly curated show considering how, as craft materials, clay and fiber carry historical and technical baggage that makers must embrace or actively reject. Both fields have wrestled with their position in the contemporary art world. Allison, Katie, and myself combined clay and fiber through processes that weave, mend, and embed themes of labor, nature, and time into our work. The use of fiber in our work allows us to challenge the boundaries of what we expect ceramics to be or how to function. Katie Coughlin uses the combination of the two because of both materials' delicate nature and how they can discuss labor. This is an image from her performative installation, And Body Has Memory. The performers slowly pull or let down the ceramic and cloth tubes. Allison Rose Craver's piece, Surrendered and On the Mend, use clay and fiber to elicit images of flesh. She is interested in how, when the two materials are melded together, they can sag like flesh or respond to the pull of gravity. These works become quite visceral. Katie and Allison were both drawn to using clay and fiber like me, as it provided a platform to challenge notions of the ceramic material. We often expect ceramics to carry certain characteristics. However, the medium is much more diverse. In adding components of fiber or textiles, I can challenge qualities of permanence, mass, and modes of installation. The combinations of these two mediums has given me a freedom I need to stay relevant and fresh.